Hello, everybody. Welcome to Just Prem Podcast, another episode. Let's get Brittany on here so we can get this started. So, Brett, think we should just get a running start and start with what a lot of people probably want to know about Bam's court. I know he had a court date today. You want to provide an update on that?
Yes. So we went to court with Bam today. Also, Prem was there too. And pretty much Bam has I think 2 different court cases going on right now in the state of Pennsylvania, or he did as of the time we woke up this morning. He has 2. So there was one having to do with an incident with Jess, his brother, where they got into some type of altercation, physical altercation at Castle Bam. And whenever that happened, maybe Jess was going to call the police. Bam allegedly went missing. Y'all probably remember that whole story. Okay. So when Bam was in town dealing with some of those court dates, someone called the cops on him at a hotel in a town or city or whatever called Radnor, Pennsylvania. So today's court case was about basically like some type of public disturbance of the peace, public intoxication, something like that. First thing first, we got there and the star witness for the other side was this police officer who apparently allegedly had observed Bam on that night or whatever. Well, the court date was supposed to start at 10:30. That was the date that was supposed to start. And instead of starting, we did not, because first the cop was not there, the star witness. He didn't bother to plan out his travel to the courthouse timely, and so he was late. So then it was kind of like, is he going to show up? Is he actually late? Then, the lawyers kind of start doing lawyer things. They sort of go, it's kind of weird that I've never been to a courthouse like this before. It was kind of just like in like a strip mall or something. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, that was one of the weirdest courthouses. It kind of felt like you were going to the DMV a little bit.
It was giving DMV, or like the inside of like one of those. I don't know. I don't want to. It was giving like we could have done an audit in there or something. But anyway, we weren't allowed to go back into the courtroom until it was going to start. And because it was getting started late, we just sitting out in this like DMV style lobby in a strip mall. I mean, that's really what it felt like. Bam was there. He was in good spirits. Danny Marie was there. Bam had lawyers there, but of course the cop was late. And so the lawyers they go into the room. We're not allowed to go in yet, but the lawyers go in there. And, they're kind of, one of them would come out, one of them go back in. I'm not really sure what's going on. I mean, I'm just there as a member of the public to observe. And excuse me. And then eventually, one thing leads to another behind the closed doors or whatever. And from what I'm told, I wasn't in there, but I think it's true. The police or the sheriff, whoever it was that had pressed the charges or had brought the case, had voluntarily withdrawn the case. So it was not dismissed by a judge. It actually was just withdrawn. Like there's no more case, basically. So a judge didn't even technically rule on it. I think the judge will have to issue an order or whatever in some way. But basically the state or whoever it was prosecuting just withdrew it. So that's a huge win for Bam. And he doesn't have to deal with this case at all anymore. From what I understand, it's completely over. That does leave the other case, the one with Jess, still pending and open. And I think there is another hearing for that case in a couple weeks. I think the next hearing is March 2024. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that's all about, like what exactly is going to be being decided that day. I would need to do a little more research on it, but that's the only outstanding case that I know of that is going on in Pennsylvania still. And so for right now, as far as we sit here today on Wednesday, March 20th, 7:40 p.m. Eastern, Bam is still free. That is the Bam Margera court update announcement, unless you have anything to add.
I have nothing to add. I think you summarized it perfectly. There you go, the clap emojis. Let's get them going. So now that we're done with the BAM update, I think we can go to our next topic. I know you haven't watched the full interview, and let me give everyone a little bit of background before we go into this topic. So recently, Don Lemon from CNN, he was fired. He was going to have a show on X with Elon Musk. Elon Musk had asked him to join the platform, put a show on there over time for the last few months. Don Lemon interviewed with Elon Musk, and once they interviewed, supposedly Elon Musk canceled a contract that they had. There's been a lot of rumors that Don Lemon was asking for certain things, which was crazy, equity in the company, saying how the company does stuff. But they're all rumors. Who knows what is being pushed? During the interview, Don Lemon is not banned from Twitter, X or Twitter. He can post his stuff there. He's made like this whole like, oh, Elon Musk is about censorship. Elon Musk is trying to censor me. But now he's kind of changed his tune because the documentary is of the chat that they had, or the
Interview.
interrogation
The
is
interrogation.
the interrogation is still available on X on YouTube, and you should go watch the full clip. But one interesting clip that I heard in there was to do with censorship, uh, restricting people, blocking people. And I thought it was just a very interesting conversation. Um, and it's something that's interesting to discuss the nuances and, how to look at it. What should we moderating? How much content moderation should exist? Does the mainstream media ever lie? And then if they lie, do they fix their lies? It's a very interesting conversation. I know Elon Musk is a decisive person, and a lot of people like him, a lot of them don't. It's not about him. It's not about Don Lemon. It's more about the arguments that they're making and what do those arguments really mean. So I think that's a pretty good summary. Do you have any questions before we start the clip? So we'll be watching a 9-minute clip. Um, it's about a 9-minute clip. We'll be stopping and giving commentary on it. It's from the interview, and we'll link the interview in the description box so you can go watch the full interview and see it.
I guess that's the only layout option we have. I guess we could do this one.
Yeah, I think that one's fine.
Yeah, that's better probably. Okay, so do I have any questions? So just so I understand this right, Elon Musk, hold on. Elon Musk owns Twitter, aka X. Elon Musk was in through X was going to be in some type of partnership business agreement with Don Lemon. He was going to put his show on there, like how Tucker Carlson is, kind of thing, sort of.
Yeah, there was going to be some type of deal like that. It really hasn't been laid out. Initially, I thought maybe it was going to be exclusively on there, or maybe for the first few weeks, but um, it seems like there's so much information being spread out there. It's really hard to tell what's the truth, which media camp is spinning what story, and why are they. Every story that comes out, there's always a reason. There's always, even that documentary, the Dan Schneider documentary, who put it out? Why was it greenlit? Why was it greenlit now? Or where are they trying to put your attention to? What are they not talking about that they should be talking about? So, even with a project like that, where it might be a good project, it helps a lot, but someone put it out, someone greenlit it, so it's just that.
Okay, so Don Lemon then asks Elon Musk before all the ink is dry on these contracts or before it's ever fully fleshed out to do an interview. Don Lemon wants to interview Elon Musk. And then
Yep.
during the interview, some might say it was a kind of a little bit of a gotcha attempt because he was asking a little bit more aggressive or confrontational questions than you would expect a friendly interview to be or something.
Yeah, it was more confrontational, and it was more gotcha, or trying to like set a narrative, right? Not even listening to the answers. It's like it was a cue card, or it was like something that was fed into Don Lemon, like ask these questions and just keep on asking. And it would
So it
be,
felt a little bad faith.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a dialogue. It wasn't like Don Lemon was taking what Elon Musk was saying and really processing it. Sometimes he did that, but on like this moderation thing, he did not. He could not even understand a basic concept that Elon Musk was trying to say. So that's why it's like it wasn't a good faith conversation, is what I got out of it.
Okay, so I have it here. And are you able to pause too? I don't know how this is like works.
We can play, and if I start talking, you
Yeah,
can pause
okay.
it.
Okay, so should I start it?
Yep, let's get it started.
23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto when you say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say an Hispanic invasion.
And you quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
If I quote something, it doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth.
So I think a little extra bit of the clip is put in there, so we
So
can
we're
just
not
listen to it.
so we're not talking about the Spanish invasion?
No, we're talking about
Okay.
moderation.
Okay,
Like,
alright.
that's why I wanna keep the conversation to just the topic of moderation, not their political views,
Right.
not their political agendas,
Got it.
each one. It's more just moderation. What should moderation be?
Okay, so let's just play it till we get to that part.
Yep.
People should consider.
Why would you quote something that you didn't believe?
Because anything I quote is going to have a whole range of statements. Doesn't mean I agree with everything in it.
Do you think if you moderated yourself
Start
more,
from
if
here.
there was better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the great replacement theory as it relates
I
to
don't have to
Democrats,
answer these
the
questions.
great replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people?
Okay, I wanna rewind it a little. I need to just process the question. Sorry.
Better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the great.
That you wouldn't have to answer these questions. Okay, so he's asking if you moderated content. When he says your content, I'm assuming he means all of the content on X.
Yep,
If you
all the content.
moderated the content on X better, do you think you wouldn't have to be answering these questions? So I think this is a type of literal. Elon Musk is very literal. He heard have to answer, and his brain went straight to I don't have to answer anything. But really what Don Lemon is kind of sort of getting at is if you moderated it better, I wouldn't even be able to ask you this question. So perhaps Lemon could have been a little more precise. This is me processing the question. Do I have a correct understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Great replacement theory as it relates
I
to
don't have to
Democrats,
answer these
the
questions.
great replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it.
I see.
Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble, or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm
or that
criticized
there-
constantly. I could care less.
Okay, sorry. I need to process that one more time just to make sure I understand it.
Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think do you think that you wouldn't?
So Elon Musk is saying, I don't have to answer questions from anybody. I'm doing this for you because you asked me and you're going to be on my platform. But if it was anybody else, I wouldn't even do the interview. So I don't really necessarily have to. They're getting kind of hung up on whether Elon Musk has to answer this question.
Yeah, and like this stuff, it's you can discuss either way, but it's more the
I'm just
policy.
trying to understand
Yep.
the conversation they're having.
Get in trouble, or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm
or that
criticized
there-
constantly. I could care less.
You don't care.
No, I don't.
Why
care.
not?
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them.
Agreed.
I agree with that. Again, every story that comes out on especially on mainstream media, it has to go through so many channels. It has to go through so many people that everyone has a agenda behind them, and they're pushing some type of agenda. And sometimes it might be good stuff, and uncovering good stuff. But again, why is it being allowed now, and what's the reason? So
Well, Elon Musk said, I don't think people should care about what the media says about him. And I don't know. I mean, I certainly don't agree with 100% of things this man says, but that I agree with. why do you care? Like, if y'all just didn't care, that'd probably be better. Like, I mean,
They're terrible judges of character.
Even someone who has one of the biggest...
I don't
Why
care.
not?
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them. They're terrible judges of character.
Even someone who has one of the biggest social media and biggest information platforms in the world, you don't care, you don't think that there's...
so that's a good question. I mean, people are weighing in the chat on who they, like, don't like, who's weird, who's not weird. I mean, I think both of these people are not particularly trustworthy for different reasons. I mean, I'm not like a fan, but I think the purpose of this conversation is just about the moderation aspect of things. I don't think it really matters who's saying it. Don Lemon said, you don't think the person who's in charge of the biggest media, blah, 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 and whatever he said should care. I mean, that's a good question. Like, should someone care more what the media says about them if they have more control over the media or more power? Or like, what do you think exactly he's trying to even get at?
I think he's just trying to put him into a corner and say, well, you're big and famous, so you should, like, you're so powerful, you should care what the media says about you. He's like trying to put him in the corner, but
That's
advice
kind
to,
of like illogical to me. I don't
yeah,
understand.
no, advice to anyone out there, you don't need to care what the media says about you. As long as you know the truth and you know what you're doing right, it doesn't matter what other people say about you. You can continue doing what you're doing.
You have any X.com or you have any responsibility to the truth or moderating the platform?
You're conflating the truth with the media, and I think the media is not truthful.
Wow. I don't really know like about all this AI stuff he's doing and all that, and I'm not really sure about the SpaceX of it all. But I feel a very familiar, like what he's focusing on in the question. He's like getting down to like, wait, hold on, no, like straight to the logic of it. That was actually...
Who has one of the biggest social media and biggest information platforms in the world, you don't care, you don't think that you have any X.com or you have any responsibility to the truth or moderating?
Yeah, that was a slippery slope Don Lemon just did. Because he said, you don't think you should care about the media, even though you're a huge, powerful, whatever. And then his next question was, so you don't care about the truth. And it's like, well, hold on. Buried within that is the supposition that the truth is the media.
Yeah, no, it's like that. This is the type of stuff where it's like it's not a good faith conversation. It's like trying to set you up to be like, oh, I don't care about the truth. And then that means, but he also put it with media equals truth. So it's to confuse someone. It's just Elon Musk is too literal and too smart to sit there and fall for that trick. It's just a trick.
Wow.
The platform?
You're conflating the truth with the media, and I think the media is not truthful.
Well, not with just the media. I mean, just the truth in general.
I care about the truth very much. That's why we have, for example, community notes on the X system, where in order for a community note to surface and provide corrective information about what somebody posts, and my posts are equally subject to this. I've been community noted many times. In order for a community note to surface, people who have historically disagreed must agree in order for a community note to surface. And all of the code for community notes is open source. All of the data is open source, so you can completely recreate it from scratch. The way to build trust is transparency.
I have noticed community notes. I think that you are right about that, and I do think community notes are helpful. I think any type of content moderation, I do think that's helpful. You recently called content moderation, though, a digital chastity belt. Do you think that you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
I think we have a responsibility to...
We should pause it just for copyright purposes. I mean, I think so far, is anything new happening? I feel like they're still talking about the same thing we just talked about.
Yeah, basically. And now he's trying to bring him on to the point of, should you be moderating hate speech on X? And question is, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've asked before. What exactly is it? It's kind of like when people say you platforming somebody. Like, what is that even? It's just like, can we agree on a definition?
Yeah, no, it's a slippery slope, and that's where it becomes hard, and that's the discussion I thought would be cool to have is how it becomes a slippery slope and how you might agree with it today, but 5 years down the line, you might not agree with it because someone else is in power or what's going on and stuff like that. Who gets to decide what is the truth? Who gets to decide? We've seen in the recent past, people have said stuff and then it turns out it was lies. It wasn't correct information.
Hmm.
Even look at perfect example is Britney Spears case, all that time CNN and themselves were publishing stories, saying stuff, and then later it was like, "Oh no, that wasn't true. We got it wrong." It wasn't even we got it wrong. It was, "Oh, here's another piece. We'll just
Yeah, they didn't
wipe
even
it."
correct the first one. I mean, Chloe Mayloss didn't even remember writing the article that called Britney, "There's no need to free Britney, save people closest to the star," or whatever she said. She didn't remember it. She was like, "Who wrote that? I wrote me? I would love to see it, but you the one who put it out had her name on it."
Yep.
Then she started writing about Free Britney from a slanted perspective. That was really the case that started making me realize, like, whoa, the news could be really actually false. Like, not just a little bit accidentally, little one detail, like, whoa, wrong.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Verifiably. It was so heartbreaking to like, it was like a breach of trust. I mean, I know a lot of people were like, "You're naive. You thought the news was real." Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Adhere to the law, and we have a responsibility to be transparent about when things are shown, why they're shown. That's why we open source our algorithm. I think once you start going beyond the law, now you're putting your thumb on the scale, and we don't want to put our thumb on the scale.
It doesn't concern.
So he's saying, I care about the truth. They're kind of having several different conversations here. One is I care whether he cares about the truth. One is whether he cares about what the media says or thinks about him. One is whether the media is truthful. And then he's also talking about the hate moderation, like the hate speech moderation. And Elon Musk's stance seems to be, if he steps in and determines what is hate speech and removes certain hate speech from the platform. Again, I just want to tell everybody, I am not up to speed on this issue. I have not watched this interview. I'm just kind of trying to process through what's being said right here. So maybe there's examples and things and all that. I don't know. But it sounds to me like what he's saying is like, I'm not going to be the decider of that, because unless it's something that's actually like breaking an actual law or it's illegal, I think it's censorship.
Yep. That's what basically he's saying.
Okay.
You that hate speech has gone. Research shows that it's gone up on the platform since you
So
took over.
just
That's
even
not
to
concerning to you.
that,
I believe
like they're having this whole argument here on what is hate speech, and like Don Lemon is saying there's hate speech on the platform and you should take it off, ban those people, and Elon Musk is saying, well, we're gonna only take off illegal stuff and stuff like that. And if Don Lemon was like asking real questions, right, and not this platform, he could have said, okay, if you're saying that, then why did you take off these people that you disagreed with? Or why did you take off someone that was tracking your jet? That wasn't illegal. That was legal. Like he could have pushed him on stuff from based on his answers, but that's where it's like it wasn't a truthful interview. Like Elon Musk has banned people on the network, that
For
weren't breaking the
personal.
law for personal reasons. And again, it's his network. If he's and he's gonna do that, that's fine. At least we know what's going on. But he could have pushed him on that because
Yeah.
Elon Musk hasn't followed that policy either, where it's like if it's not illegal, we're not going to take it off. They've taken stuff off that wasn't
And
illegal.
that would have been a great opportunity for somebody to ask him, because actually, now that you mention it, I would like to know what his answer to that would be.
Because that would be a real question. It wouldn't
Mm.
be a gotcha. It's something that's happened and where he's contradicting himself. But this is where I said it doesn't seem like a genuine interview, because he just goes into he's got to keep on repeating the same thing, keep on repeating the same thing. And it's like, you're not having a conversation. You just memorize some questions that you're spewing out.
Overlords told you to ask.
That is
Yep.
false. In fact, the research that I've seen says it went down.
The study from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue found that anti-Semitic tweets doubled from June 22 to February 2023. One study reported that as many as 86% of the posts reported for hateful content remained up after being reported. Hate speech on the platform is up.
So what they will typically do is they will count the number of posts, but not count the number of views. So what matters is, was that post given high visibility, or what did like one person see it?
That feels like a very important point to me.
Me too. What's your opinion on it?
So he just said basically, okay, so if I understand this correctly, there's a poll, there's a report that's come out and shown that hate speech on Twitter is up. But when you look into the methods, how they figured that out, it's just there's more hate speech tweets getting pushed, or being posted to Twitter, being tweeted. More hateful tweets are being tweeted, anti-Semitic particularly. But Elon Musk said yes, but the way they arrived at that was they just said how many are being posted versus how many views the tweets got, like how many people are actually seeing the hateful stuff. So I don't think it's particularly fantastic that there's more hateful tweets. But I do find it to be a very important distinction about hate speech is up, but that can mean different things. There's another way to define hate speech on Twitter, which is how many people saw a hateful tweet, and isn't the real damage of the hate speech tweets the victims or the targets of the hateful speech.
I have a question. Let's even take a step back from there,
okay.
Right? What is hate speech? And again, some of the examples that he's gonna give now, they're horrible, they're horrendous. And I have personal experiences, dealing with hate speech and having to deal with it and affect my life, growing up because of it. So again, the examples he gives are hate speech. I
Okay.
agree with that. But who's to judge what is hate speech? In this manner, I can think it's hate speech and someone might not. And majority of us might think it's hate speech, someone might not. It's their speech, and the First Amendment allows you to speak and say it. So I think you shouldn't promote it if it's against your policies. You shouldn't push it, but you shouldn't also shadow ban it. You shouldn't also not let it, be said. Because one thing that I think in society everyone's got to realize is you got to let people say what they feel. You got to let people tell you who they are. Because if you don't let them speak, they stay in, they have this feelings fester up, and they're just festering. It's not like that doesn't make them a racist or, whatever bad thing that you want to make it, or, publish hate speech. But now you know what that person stands for. Now you know, hey, that's that person's true opinion. They're not being fake. And I think it's better if everyone gets to speak their truth and gets to speak what they want. And a lot of times it's uncomfortable. A lot of times it's not fun. I've dealt with it as a kid. And once he shows examples, I'll fill more in on that. But we have to allow it to be as broad as possible, not try to now narrow down like, okay, this is hate speech, this is hate speech, because whoever's in control is going to determine what's hate speech. And today might be the people that you want and you agree with their policies. Tomorrow it might not be those people, and you might not think it's hate speech. It changes over time. So let people post what they want. Let people see it, and people determine. People should be able to be smart enough to make their own decisions. We're here basically saying people are not smart enough. And
so what would you say because I've heard this argument play out before, and then the next thing that people would say is, but some of this speech is really truly so egregious and so bad, Like, yelling the B word in an airport is the one they always say. Or like,
That isn't that illegal? Because you're causing actual, I don't know, there's
yes,
actual
but it's
law.
illegal. And there are hate speech laws as well. So it's illegal because it causes people to react in such a way that causes harm. And so if there's other types of speech, I don't want to think of any examples, but I'm just saying, like, that's usually the next thing where it's like there's certain things that are just so bad. I don't want to, like I said, I'd probably be better if
No,
I
but let's
yeah,
just say if something is so bad, right? Like yelling the B word in a movie theater or whatever you want to say, right?
uh,
Example like that. It's illegal. You're not allowed. If it's bad, we have laws against it, or we should have laws against it if we don't, right? It's like putting out kitty stuff. Like there's laws against it, and people still do it, but there's still laws against it, and Twitter should take action against that. If something is wrong, it should legally be wrong because morals change. Society's morals change over time. And today, it might be your moral views are what's considered mainstream. And tomorrow, it might not be, 10, 20 years from now. So it should be always morals can change, but we have to truly let it be because if tomorrow the mainstream doesn't agree with you, then you're not going to feel happy about it. So the best thing is let everyone just be, is my opinion. And I think that's what the First Amendment really offers and is meant to be, let people dissent, let people say messed up stuff because at least you know what they think. It's not hidden. And if you hide it, it's going to fester anyway.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like, what you're saying, it does logically make sense, but I almost feel like, I don't know if it's my actual opinion or if it's just like I've been brainwashed by the comment section for the last, decade or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's certain things like you just shouldn't be able to say, but at the same time, I agree with you. Obviously, it's like a big component of my platforms and stuff about, free speech and stuff. And it's like, I guess, like, taken to its logical end, you should I mean, it's like you gotta put your money where your mouth is. Like, you gotta let people just say what they're gonna say. If your whole, like, platform is like, you gotta let people say what they're gonna say. But it's like, I don't know, I mean, I get comments personally myself that, I mean, I see how nasty people on the internet can be. But it's like, yeah, I mean, should that what is and also just vague, like, what does it mean when Don Lemon even says, do you think if you moderated your content better, the hate speech on the platform, then you wouldn't have to answer these questions? Like, what do you mean though? Moderate how? What's Don Lemon's explanation?
Censorship.
It's like the easiest way to just be talking past each other when you don't even define what in the hell you're talking about for long enough to stay on one question about it.
Let's roll the tape.
And if you look at the number of views of how many times was hate content viewed on our platform, it is down substantially.
Yeah. Well, that's not was what the study shows. And you said you like transparency. I'm going to show you this, and
Don, you can get a study that will tell you whatever you want.
But these are just a handful of extremely. You look at those anti-Semitic and racist tropes and tweets, and as of this morning, they're still on X. And from your own content policy, these posts should have been deleted. So why haven't they been deleted? Why are they still there? Did you?
So could you pause it here?
Mm-hmm.
So again, those examples that Don Lemon gave, horrible, disgusting. I don't care,
I didn't read them. I didn't want to have my cortisol spike right now.
Yeah, it was just disgusting, horrible, and despicable. But now we know those people's views are out there, and they put their views out there. Again, it's always easy to talk when it's not about you or it's not affecting you. It's it's a lot easier, as people say, to throw stones at a glass house or whatever it is. And those jokes are not about people, my people, or so. But I can think back to time of 9/11. When 9/11 happened, news publications, newspapers everywhere they had terrorist jokes. They had turban people looking certain way, making fun of them, and hate crime really went up against Sikhs, the religion that my family practiced and I was practicing at the time. And I wore a turban uh, because of everything going on, the media coverage and everything else like that. My parents pulled me out of fall soccer because they were scared for my safety. So the mainstream media was putting that stuff out. Today, sitting here, did it contribute to the negative views of turbans and really affect my childhood? Yes. But even sitting here today, knowing about rights and First Amendment and, letting people do what they do, I would still say, okay, that was okay. That was someone's view. It was hurtful, but that's their view. That's jokes that they wanted to tell. And the media played a huge part in it. And they were wrong for it, but I can't sit here and say, well, that shouldn't be allowed. I think that should be allowed too. And I've suffered from it personally. So that's why I have a very strong belief, because if you start limiting and who's deciding what is hate speech, was that hate speech? Um, Most people did not think so at that time, but I think if you went and reviewed it today, a lot of the jokes about turban people, people in turbans, all the comics that were coming out were pretty bad. Resulted in a lot of hate back then. But that was comedy and they put it out and it's okay. They were allowed to do that, but other people should be allowed to do what they want to do.
Yeah, it seems for sure there has to be an agreed upon definition of what it even is. Because like you said, I've noticed of severe restriction on our speech just across all possible conceivable ways in the last few years, and it's kind of like, what has it helped? I don't feel like we're better off because we have to say like B word and R word and unalive. Like, I don't feel like that helped at all. Now it's like, so people just change the words and change the speech anyway. They're going to be doing hateful stuff anyway. And then to your point about stuff being a law, I think I'd have to agree on that. I think until the people, these people have decided and determined that something is a crime, who in the hell is Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever in the hell else to tell me what I can say? I could see a world. Lima Yarimovich has tried to call stuff that I've said harassment and doxing and every other thing else, and it wasn't nothing but my opinions and the truth, or some combination. And anybody could call anything hate speech, really. And like you said, they pick some really hateful stuff that makes you viscerally like, yeah, that should not be on Twitter. But apparently that stuff isn't supposed to be on Twitter. And maybe Don Lemon himself agreed. He said this goes against the community guidelines. So why is it still up? I think that's a decent question. But the answer isn't, you should moderate it better. The answer is like the AI didn't catch it, or you got to follow your own rules better. That's a distinction, right?
I think that's a fair question. And again, Elon Musk ignores it. But, um, that's where if Don Lemon was actually doing an interview, he would have pushed back on there. And if you listen to it, Don Lemon, like that's why I said there's things that he could have pushed him on. There's things that were not consistent of what Elon Musk was saying or what he's done. But he didn't focus on that. He just came with his questions: moderation, 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 censorship, censorship, censorship. And that was the problem with the interview. If he had, really gone through and asked him questions and was actually having a conversation and listening to his answers and saying, oh, no, haven't done this. Your policy says this. I'm not talking about should you change your policy. You should change your policy to say if it's Not, again, the reason why Twitter has that is so it gives them cover, so they can decide who they want to take out. If I was Don Lemon, I would have asked, hey, why don't you make a Twitter policy that if something is not illegal, we're going to leave it up? But they won't do that because they still want to have that possibility of deleting something because it gives them cover. Like, that's something he should have pushed him on, but that's not what he
Yeah.
pushed him on.
Like he had some good points he could have, pushed him on, but instead he just stuck to these like artificially produced talking points.
Yeah.
If they are illegal.
But these have been up there for a while.
Are they illegal?
No, they're not illegal, but they're hateful, and they can lead to violence. As I just read to you, the shooters, in all of these mass shootings, attributed social media to radicalizing.
So Don, you love censorship, is what you're saying?
No, I don't love censorship.
Then why are you asking?
I believe in moderation, but I don't believe in
censorship. Moderation is a propaganda word for censorship.
But don't you think free speech is one thing, right? Or not,
Look, if something's illegal, we're going to take it down. If it's not illegal, then we're putting our thumb on the scale and we're being censors.
On this so far, on this point, I kind of agree with Elon so far.
Yeah, no, it's censorship.
Like you said, if Don was saying, okay, but it goes against your own community standards and you're leaving it up, that's hypocritical. That's different.
Yep. He doesn't ask the right questions.
Yeah.
He could have pressed him on stuff, but since he has an agenda and that's not part of his agenda, he doesn't even go there. He's not even listening to what Elon Musk is saying. He just wants to get certain buzzwords. He wants to say them and he wants Elon Musk to say them back. And until he gets that answer, it's just like repeat. Kind of feels like a robot with a loaded program to ask certain questions. And it's Chat GPT 3.5, not 5.
Chat Elemento PQRSTUV.
You're putting your thumb on the scale for moderating hate speech. He don't
get it.
Put out child pornography. That's not.
It's illegal.
Some people would say that's considered censorship. I'm just saying
No, I literally.
I don't think. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I think that was completely inappropriate. Don Lemon just completely ignored the answer to his question. It's not illegal. Well, some people would consider that to be putting your finger on the scale. This sounds like the haters that they hire to troll me on Twitter. Like, it's like they missing the point on purpose.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I literally said, if something is legal, okay, we will obviously remove it.
Okay.
But if it is not legal, the laws in this country are put forward by the citizens. We're a democracy. If those laws are put in place by the people, we adhere to those laws.
Okay, I agree.
To the laws of others. If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people.
Okay, agreed with the law. But if you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to
agreed with the law
killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying
there's articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. Don't they? Shouldn't they? Like, you're applying a differential standard to.
But that would never be.
Okay, that was a good point. I hadn't thought of. Like, so, like, why are you just asking me this? Like, CNN never. You just gave an example, Prem, right now of the mainstream media putting out stuff that led to violence against your own, family and people and stuff. So, or like against, you being able to play sports as a kid and stuff. So, we have examples of it. It led to violence, so much violence, your family was scared. And so, I didn't think about that. Good point.
Yeah, no, it really made me think of that. And then it was like, okay, now if that was to happen again, would I be okay with stuff about turban people being left on X? And, I've started wearing a turban more and more now. And I would say, yeah, I would. So again, it's not and it shouldn't be my opinion. It's like when someone has to decide, that's where the problem is. If someone else has to decide, that's why it's like, Okay, the
I mean,
public
are
has
we all
decided
sitting
on
around here acting like we trust Elon Musk's judgment to decide what should be on Twitter? Like, I kind of like him keeping his hands off of it a little bit, actually, now that I'm really thinking about it an hour in.
Yeah, no one should be putting it on, especially these platforms. They're more like the internet. They're more like, well, can someone put that on a website on the internet? Yeah, then they should be able to put it on Twitter. If it's not, and again, the kitty stuff you can't put out unless you're protected, like some people, but you can't put that stuff out. So if you
Mhm.
put it up on a website, you get your website shut down. If you put
Yeah,
it up on Twitter, you'll get your Twitter
because it's illegal.
because it's illegal.
Yeah, I
But if
see.
if you put
You're
that
convincing
if you
me.
put those disgusting jokes on a website, your website's not getting taken down because it's not illegal. You can do that.
Mainstream media. These types of images, that type of language, those things would never be, we'd never, when I was in mainstream media, we'd never promote things that would be anti-Semitic. We would never promote things that would.
anti-Semitic either.
I've never say never. That just feels like way too blanket of a statement.
Did you not see those?
You said promote. If content is on the platform, that doesn't mean we promote it.
But that wouldn't be on a platform for me.
Oh, he got him. Because we already just heard him saying the thing about limiting the hateful stuff to people and the views and all of that. And he's like, I mean, he's right. Allowing it on the platform isn't the same as promoting it, as Don Lemon ironically learned.
Or does he learn?
Well, I mean, he's on Twitter, but he's not being promoted because he's not
No,
in the
he is. He's
like
actually
show.
being promoted.
I know. I'm just saying it was a joke. Like, he could be on Twitter, but it doesn't have to be being promoted, just like those hate speech tweets.
Yeah.
Mainstream media at all.
No, but you can think of that's because the mainstream media has like whatever 20 articles a day. We have 500 million posts today.
Here,
Okay,
pause that.
understood.
Million.
Does it bother
I think that comment right there, the one about subscribing to the left versus right, when we have these conversations, it shouldn't be about the left, the right, the center, the middle, the blue, the green, the yellow, the red, whatever it is. It shouldn't be about that. We should take all that away and just think about overall. Today, if the left is in power, then they're going to push their agendas. Tomorrow, and if you're on the left, let's just say whatever that is, are you okay the censorship that you're giving today because you're in power? Tomorrow, if the right is in power, they're going to have all those tools to use against you. So we should limit the tools so no side can weaponize it against the other side. And when we allow people's judgment in, then we're allowing someone, either be it on the left or the right, to decide, what is allowed, what's not. And if we can just eliminate that, that's the best way. That's why you got to leave it broad. You can't start saying, this is hate speech, this is hate speech, this is hate speech. And if people truly believe, hey, cartoons drawn are hate speech, then they should get laws passed against it, and then it wouldn't
Yeah,
happen.
but it's getting too much. Like, somebody told me the other day that my silence on a very important issue that I was not educated about is violence.
Yeah, no,
Not even now a speech, not just speech that's hate and causing violence. Not speech is causing violence now too. It's just beyond. It's beyond. Y'all pushed too far. Sorry.
oh, wait until you see a Jay Shetty clip on that.
Oh boy. Got Jay Shetty video coming out soon.
How do you feel about that when you see it?
I obviously disagree with that. I think it's not good at all. It's terrible.
But you don't want to get rid of it on the platform, or at least moderate it.
The rules, what you're suggesting is censorship that goes beyond the law. And what I'm saying is I guess have a disagreement, because I do not believe in censorship that goes beyond the law, and you do. We have a difference of opinion in that regard.
I understand that, but these are your own rules on your own platform.
Okay.
These go
Now he gets to it.
against the rules on your platform. That's why I'm asking you. If you said, listen, we allow everything, but that's not what your content rules say. And that's why I'm asking you, why are
No.
they still there?
The
Your own content policy. That's why I'm asking you that, not because
which part of our content policy says that we should delete these things?
your content policy talks about hate speech.
Yes, we don't promote hate speech.
And so you don't consider that hate speech.
I guess you're not understanding what I'm saying. There's if there's you can find like
I'm just pausing it for the purposes of pausing it at the moment.
you can sign up right now and do 100 things that are hateful. But if nobody reads it, it doesn't matter.
I agree with that. And then there's this awkward silence.
So you can think of X as being, it's much.
You don't even know what
Zoomed in like on The Office. Did you see that Zoom? Watch the Zoom. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it is a Don Lemon production. Like if he zoomed in, he cut it. It's from his channel.
So
Watch it zoom in. This is so funny. They gotcha'd him. His editors don't like him.
So you can think of X as being, it's much like the internet. It's not some tiny publication with like 20 articles a day. It's 500 million.
But everyone has the opportunity to read it, Elon. It's not that-
He don't get it. He don't understand how algorithms and optimization and stuff works. Have you ever tried finding a video that YouTube don't want you to find? Whoo, good luck.
Everyone has
don't
the
know who's
opportunity to
gonna
read
read
the internet. Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet?
No, but you don't own the internet. I'm asking you about you and your responsibility and your platform. And so I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on.
It's like, why, Prim, can you explain to me why these people like Don Lemon and the rest of them on the mainstream got to act so like high and mighty and holier than that? Like, I get it. You don't agree. Like, why is he so upset about it?
No, you don't agree. It's okay.
Because of hate speech are upsetting and vile. But like, why is it got to be like the man gave you his reasoning? You don't own the internet. Well, okay. It seems like he was up all night trying to come up with that one-liner.
No, it's pretty bad.
Yes, you want censorship and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship at all.
Yes, you do.
No, I want responsibility. I think there's.
I think you want
You
censorship.
desperately want censorship.
No, if I want a
You
censorship.
want censorship so bad you can taste it.
No, that's not true. It's not true. I think that there's right and wrong. And I think
therefore
that-
you want censorship.
There
And
is
who gets
right
to
and wrong.
determine? Who gets to determine what is right or wrong?
And something could be wrong and still be legal. Like, not everything that's wrong is illegal.
No,
And
I
we're-
think those disgusting jokes are wrong.
Me too. Absolutely
I think they're
wrong. Those
disgusting.
are
They're
bad-
horrible.
Yes. And if I saw it, I would block the whole account and I would report it.
That's
And
it.
That's it.
when you have a platform that's as big as yours and as powerful as yours and as influential as yours, and you are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important. You don't see that responsibility.
Pause.
I think
I do not want Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, or whoever else owns one of these platforms to decide what should be said, what shouldn't be said.
No.
You do not
That's the
want
biggest
that.
takeaway from me in this whole video. No, I don't.
You're leaving it up to one person to decide. And again, today you might want him to decide on certain things certain way, and he might, and tomorrow he might not. So you don't want any one person deciding, especially on these huge platforms. Again, what someone does on their own page and who they allow to view their page and be their friends and everything, that's fine. That's their page, who they want to interact with. But if you allow one person to decide for everyone what is right, what is allowed, what isn't, is just setting up for disaster.
Systematically too, as well. I mean, they're unelected people. So you're basically just saying whoever has the most money gets to decide what I can say.
Basically, that's what Don Lemon's pushing for.
No, thank you. Actually, no.
responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
Okay.
But if you want us to go beyond the law, that is us deciding to be censors. And I'm against censorship. I'm in favor of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech only is relevant when people you don't like say things you don't like. Otherwise, it has no meaning.
They say that a lot in law school.
But I do think that there should be guardrails. And I believe.
And Don Lemon wants freaking Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and the 5 overlords we have to be the ones that decide the guardrails. No, I'm sorry. No. Now that it's in my mind that way, like, no, I'm not going back.
Yep.
Believe in free speech as much as you. I would fight. I don't disagree.
He does not.
I don't agree with.
He don't believe in free speech. He's full of
He believes in whatever the mainstream media
told him.
is saying should be free speech. He believes in whatever the overlords are pushing and whatever agenda is being
Chris
pushed should be
Cuomo
free.
told the American public that it was illegal for them to read WikiLeaks, but it's not illegal for him to read it. You remember that?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous what they do.
Out of control.
It's as long as whatever they're saying is the proper way. Like, that's the thing.
And they change their mind like the weather. They never saying the same shit for too long.
A lot of what you put out on social media, but I will fight for your right to be able to say it.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right. That's been a target of yours lately.
I think that's
separate
all.
talk.
No, it's not that. Those topics can get political and we can go talk about political topics. But today I just wanted to keep something where it's not picking a side. It's not left versus the right. It's not it's not like, oh, this person versus that person. It doesn't matter. Remove Elon Musk, the name, the picture, and everything. Just imagine one side, that computer is making that argument. And on the other side, remove Don Lemon and make it another computer.
Yeah.
And that side of the computer is making that argument. Now, take the emotions out of it. Because once you let emotions come in, then you might not be making the best decision for you. And again, only you know. That's in my opinion. I believe that. So once you take the emotions out of it, really listen to it and see, do you want Elon Musk to decide what is hate speech? What is allowed? What is not allowed? Do you want Mark Zuckerberg? And they do. They're already allowed. They already do it.
They already do it, but I don't like that.
But
I think they should be pushing the other way.
It should be pushed the other way. It should be
Terrible.
You shouldn't decide. They shouldn't be deciding. It should be, hey, if it's not illegal, it should be allowed. If it's something so bad and horrendous and cause so much harm, then make it illegal. And which they do all the time. They try to take our rights away all the time.
Yeah, they try to.
But
well, I've said pretty much all I need to say here. I'm starting to feel a little fatigued from the workday that started at 5:30 a.m. for me.
Yeah, no, you've had a long day. So have I.
Yeah, you've been up for most of it too.
Yep. So
anyway, that's all I had. This was a riveting conversation. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yep. No, thank you for coming on, and thank you for everyone in the chat. Click the subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll continue these conversations going.
Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.
Bye.